Hello, everybody. My name is Laura, and you're watching the Beanbird 2 channel where we discuss testimonies and the goodness of God. And today I have a testimony to share about a time when God saved my husband and I when we were on the lake. So this happened around, I want to estimate around 2005. I don't remember exactly the year. I'm going to post some pictures as I talk about the testimony to kind of show a little bit more detail from the boat and what happened. So this was, a long time ago. It was before smartphones. So any pictures that I have, I took with my old school camera, not with my phone. My phone was like one of those flip phones that didn't have any technology. So I don't have a lot of pictures, but I'll share what I can. So around the 2005 timeframe, my husband took some classes with his work. They were offering sailing classes because we lived in Michigan, and the lakes, the Great Lakes, everybody wants to be on the lake. And so he had signed up for these classes to learn how to sail, and he completed his course, and we took the boat safety classes, and we had our boating licenses, and we were ready to go. But we didn't have a boat. So we had a friend who had two boats, and he offered to let us borrow his little boat. He had a little boat. I want to say it was 23 feet long. I'm pretty sure that's about the size. And it was a sailboat. And he said, I'll let you borrow it for free. The only thing is I want you to refinish the hull for me. And if you do that labor, I'll count that as, the price for you to have the boat for the summer. So we thought this was an amazing opportunity. So my husband spent the summer and refinished the hull and cleaned out the inside of the boat. It needed some updates and some work. And we were really looking forward to taking this sailboat out on the lake. And when my mom had come over for the 4th of July celebration, I was really excited about how the boat was, finished and it was ready to go on the water. And I kept telling her about sailing and how beautiful it is to be on the water. I loved being on the water. And I asked my husband, I'm like, can we take my mom to go see the boat? And he was like, well, it's the 4th of July. He's like, I don't want to go on the water because it's a holiday and there's going to be a lot of powerboat traffic going to the city to see the fireworks. He's like, so I'll take her to see the boat, but we're not going out in it. And I was like, that's fine. So we drive out to the marina, and I'm showing my mom the boat, and we get on the boat, and I'm showing her all the little things. And I'm like, this is so great. We learned how to sail, very excited. And I look at my husband and I'm like, can we go out for just a little bit? What if we take the boat out, we go up the Detroit River, and then just turn around and come back? Like just a real quick little thing, just to show her what it's like to be out. And he was like, I really don't think so. I feel like the traffic is going to be too much. And I persisted. I just wouldn't let it go. And I think he started to feel bad. And I was like, oh, we'll just go out and come right back in. And he was like, all right. He didn't want to disappoint me. And it was my fault for being really pushy. But against his better judgment, he decided that we would go out and come back in. Now, the way that the marina was situated, it was in the Detroit River area. And you would have to motor the sailboat up the Detroit River in order to get into Lake St. Clair, where you could sail. And then once you sail there for a little while, you could turn back around, and then you could go back down the river and into the marina. So my husband had agreed to just go into the Detroit River and then turn around and come back. That was the plan. Well, we soon got into trouble. So we got out of the marina, we motored all the way up the Detroit River, and we got into Lake St. Clair. And if you don't know too much about the Michigan lakes and rivers, there's a lot of freighter traffic that goes through the Great Lakes. Big freighters, huge shipping freighters. And there's a shipping freighter lane that the freighters go through. And so if you're a power boat or if you're any kind of boat, you just stay out of the freighter lane. And we get all the way out into Lake St. Clair, and my husband is fighting to get the sails up, and we couldn't get the sails up because of the lack of, I don't know if it was like the wind situation. I remember we were really struggling to get the sails up. And then we were like, no problem, we'll just motor. The motor went out, and we couldn't figure out why it wouldn't start. We kept trying, to restart the engine, and it just wouldn't go. And then finally my husband checked, and he was like, oh my gosh, there's no gas. Yes, this is a rookie mistake. We were in our 20s, and we were in a sailboat with no gas in Lake St. Clair. And the power boats kept coming down, going towards the city for the fireworks. And every time they came, the wakes would rock the boat real bad. And it's a 23-foot sailboat, and those get tossed around pretty easy because they are so small, and the waves on those lakes are no joke. So the boat is rocking back and forth, and my husband's trying to get the sails up, and meanwhile, the boat is drifting into the freighter lane. It's like being on the train tracks when a freight train's coming. I mean, like, we were going into the freighter lane, and there was like nothing we could do about it. So my husband's like frantically telling people to like do this with the sail, do that with the sail. And there was like no wind all of a sudden. And so even though we finally got the sails up, we weren't able to move the boat because there was no wind to push it. So we start going kind of towards the freighter lane, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So, some more power boats come by, and we start signaling like SOS, like help, help, help. But everybody was kind of in party mode, and people were just like, we're going, people drinking, loud music, heading down to Detroit. And so nobody was seeing us. And so the boat starts to turn, and instead of going towards the freighter lane, thank the Lord, we started heading towards the shore. But in this part of the area, this isn't a sandy shore, this is a seawall. So the seawall is just like this wall of, concrete. And the rise from like the water level to where the sidewalk is on that seawall is like, maybe 10 feet. So it's not like you're just going to jump up on the seawall. So the boat starts turning, and we start going towards the seawall, which was also bad news. And we were, again, still signaling for boat traffic to come and help us in distress. And the boat is just drifting closer and closer and closer to seawall. And I, at this point, tried to get the SOS radio to signal for Coast Guard to come help us out because we had no fuel. And I couldn't get the radio to work. It just seemed like everything wasn't working. We're running out of gas. The sails wouldn't go up. And now the emergency radio wasn't working. And I was like, can this get any worse? And we were all in a panic mode. So the boat continues to drift closer and closer to the seawall until finally we hit the seawall. And it was like the whole boat just went like this and went, wha-bam, into the wall. And then it came out with the waves, and then it went, wha-bam, back in the seawall. And we were hitting the seawall over and over and over again. Every time a powerboat went by and that wake came through, we would just rock out and then swing into the wall. And I was very nervous. My husband said the boat is only going to hit this wall so many times before the fiberglass is just going to shatter, and we're all going to be dumped into the Detroit River. And at this point in time, in panic, I literally yelled out, "Everybody pray!" And so I was like, we need to pray, everybody pray. And the boat is just hitting and hitting and hitting. And then my husband goes down below into the boat, and he sees that we're taking on water. And he says, oh my gosh, guys, we're taking on water from the bottom. And granted, it was a small amount of water, but it was filling up the bottom of the boat. And we knew that our time was very limited with what was going on. And I'm telling you that when we prayed, God moved. So what happened, I believe, is nothing short of a miracle. There is a marina that was just up a ways. We could see it with our eyes. It was close enough to see that there was a marina there. And there was a sailboat that was coming out, and they were headed toward the fireworks because that's where everybody was going. So they pull out of the marina, and they can see our boat just getting demolished by this seawall. I mean, it was holding together, but I mean, it was only a matter of time. So we're hitting this wall, hit, and they come around in front of us. And it's one of those situations where when you're that close to the wall, you have to be very close that you don't get sucked into it as well, being another sailboat, and you end up in danger as well. So you have to be very skilled to get that close to a seawall without causing yourself to be pulled in. So they pull out in front of us, and then they start turning their motor backwards, and they're backing in closer and closer to us. And the name of the boat, guys, was Amazing Grace. That was the name on the back of the boat of this rescue boat. And they yell out to us. They're like, "Don't be afraid. We're experienced sailors. We've all have a lot of experience. We're going to get you out of here. We're going to throw you a line, and you're going to tie it to your boat, and we're going to pull you out of there, and we'll tow you out." And I just could not believe the sweetness to my ears that was. So they throw us a line, and my husband ties it off to the boat, and they motor us out of that seawall area. They took us all the way back to our marina where we were supposed to be. And now, this being a holiday, the marinas usually don't have staff, full on a holiday. And because the boat was taking on water, we needed somebody to get the boat out of the water. So it had to be lifted with one of those special machines. I'm not sure what they're called, but you boat into it and then they lift you up. And my husband was like, "I don't know if we're going to be able to find somebody to get the boat out." So they get us to land close enough, and my husband gets out, and he finds a guy. There was a guy there, and he was like, I can get it." He's like, "We're taking on water. We have to get the boat out. It's going to sink." So they came out, and they hoisted it from underneath the boat, and they lifted it out of the water, and they took it over to a land area. And I got just a moment to talk to the sailors that had rescued our boat. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, guys, thank you so much." And they're like, "Oh, it was nothing. It was no big, we will love to help you, and no big deal." You were like, "You guys have a good day." And I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, the timing that they came through and they saw us and they rescued us and the name of their boat, I was like so in awe that God had did that. And then also that there was somebody at the marina who could lift the boat out and get it out of the water. And I'm going to have a picture that I'll post of the boat. And what was damaged on the boat was the centerboard, which on the very bottom of the boat hull, there's a fin. And that little fin broke off as it hit the seawall. And that's where the water was coming up from the middle of the bottom of the hull there. Water was coming in that way. And so, of course, there was damage to the boat. And so we had to call our friend and tell them that we had been in an accident with it and the boat was damaged and the centerboard was lost. And he was so nice. I mean, this was a guy that we knew from church, and I thought, oh my gosh, our friendship is going to be ruined. He's never going to want to talk to us again. Like, this is horrible, But guys, I got to tell you about the grace that he showed us. He was like, "Okay, I'm sorry to hear that." He's like, "But we'll handle it. I have insurance. We'll file a claim." He's like, "If you guys pay the deductible for the insurance, we'll call it good." And of course, we happily paid the deductible because we felt terrible, and it was definitely on us for not having gas in the boat and all the errors that we made that caused the accident. And this Christian guy, he maintained our friendship. I thought, oh, surely after this is settled, he'll avoid us. But no, he kept talking to us and he remained friendly with us. And he was able to kind of laugh about it a little bit as we talked about that day that we wrecked his boat. And I mean, if you have an opportunity to show somebody grace in that way, it is such a blessing to receive that kind of grace from someone. And of course, we received the best, most grace from Jesus, God our Father, as he extends grace to us. And when we experience grace in the world, it's so unexpected because we're not looking for grace. We know what we deserve. And in this case, I felt like we deserved to be excommunicated. But our friend, he saw greater than that. And he was like, "You know what? I'm not going to let this come between us. Accidents can happen. That's why we have insurance. And, it is what it is. It could happen to anybody." And I was just so thankful for that. So a few lessons that I take away from that is the grace and mercy of my friend. And of course, the grace and mercy of Jesus. And the fact that we prayed, and I believe God sent that boat or arranged that boat to come out and rescue us at just the perfect time. And if nobody had come, it could have been horrible. That Detroit River is the current is strong, the seawall is high, a very dangerous area, and I don't know if we would have all made it out of there safely because of the current. It was really bad, but God rescued us, and I just like to list that as a testimony of a time when we were in trouble, and God came through, and He provided people that surrounded us, whether it was the boat people or the people from the marina or our good friend who ended up lending us the boat to begin with, and all the love that people helped. And yeah, so that's my testimony of that. And God is good all the time. And all the time, God is good. Thank you.